Hello YouTube. I thought I'd start this video off with a little bit of small talk. This is going to be a video on, first of all, let me say this is, um, if you can see, far more colorful than what I usually drink. It's peach margarita. I had some left over from a few weeks ago. It was actually pretty good. And I figured I'd drink this instead of volcano ash for once, you know. So that's nice. It is actually quite good. I mean, like, honestly, it's not got a lot of alcohol in it, but it's like, you would think, I mean, you know, it still tastes like shit, but it tastes pretty good. Anyways, I guess this video is going to be on, also, I don't like mixing liquor, let me say, because when you mix liquor, you can get sick, so I got the other brown liquor that I can drink, and, I mean, it gets you high, and it's more affordable probably, and it gets you high easy, but it's not very good. Anyways, the point is, back to the subject of this fucking video. What would it be? Oh yeah, clitoral unhooding. First, let me say I do not support clitoral unhooding or clitorectomy, female genital mutilation, female circumcision, or type 1 female circumcision. And I want to say that, but I want to say this is pretty much what female circumcision is. If you think about it, because it's not a pinprick, even though that's what some groups do, and that's what they didn't want to let people do, even in the United States. And like I said, I'm not even against doing that to boars. And also, it's not clitorectomy or the cutting off of the clitoris, because if you go back to ancient Arab, like Arabic language, it means to cut around. Well, obviously, if you cut something off, if you cut the clitoris off, then you're not cutting around. That's actually more similar to castration. And sometimes it happens as punishment, but in whatever way it happens, it usually happens in the worst, most dark sub-Saharan parts of Africa. Literally, probably the darkest part of the world, where you still have cannibalism in some cases, you have people starving to death, you have warlords, you have a lot of bad situations. In the first world, and even the majority of the third world, that doesn't happen. What I'm talking about is clitoral hood erectomy or type 1 female circumcision. Now, what I would like to say about that is, again, like I said, first off, I don't support that. And second of all, I want to make clear, this is not something we do in the United States. And except for one fucking case recently, since 1997, we've had one case just very recently, within the last year, where they didn't file charges, and they didn't want to goddamn prosecute the damn thing, because it wasn't even what I'm talking about. It was a pinpricking. It was a pinpricking ceremony. It was pretty much like a bris shalom for boys. It was the same thing for a girl that a Muslim community had for a girl, and it was not even, or it wasn't even a removal of anything. So they're like, well, how do we even fucking charge this? And they didn't, you know, they have before, but they didn't in this situation or in this case. But that goes back to what I said about cultural bias. But the point is, a clitorectomy is usually, it's not even snipping the tip in some cases. I wouldn't say usually. I mean, there are some cases where you remove quite a bit of the clitoral hood, just like you would the male penis. And again, you're talking about a smaller organ, a smaller amount of skin. It's less dangerous, probably, than male circumcision. But still, and in this country, at least in what cases it has been done, that it's been allowed, and when it hasn't been allowed, it was done or is done in a way that it's usually done when they're infants, just like male circumcision. And it's done in those countries that way. Sometimes it is done on older girls, but it's not even the snipping of the tip in many cases. It's literally like you're not even cutting anything off. You're literally cutting it or snipping it so it becomes easier to retract. But not only that, but like I said, pinpricking is illegal in this country, but yet you can remove the entire male foreskin, pretty much, the entire male foreskin, the skin around, you know, the end of your dick, that covers the glands, probably pretty much around, could be 30 to 50%, more than 50% of the penis. That happens regularly. It happens to a lot of boars. That's become the norm. But you're going to outlaw pinpricking. That to me makes no sense. And I find it funny how, and I'm not talking about any specific individual here, they will say that, for example, and they will even admit that the majority of female circumcision is type 1 circumcision, or they will at least admit that is a thing. And then they will say, well, we're against that, right? But we're okay with male circumcision and or even mutilate your kids' dicks. And females do that, feminists do that. And by the way, I'm not promoting, again, like I want to say this again, because if you don't repeat something 1,000 times, you fucking people, and I can't even make a joke or be sarcastic here because, goddamn it, you'll think I'm being serious. But I'm against this, and I want to make that clear. And it shouldn't be legal, and I would never do that to my daughter. And that's part of why what you're doing is so fucked up. And I'll get to that in a minute. But the majority of female genital mutilations or female circumcision is removal of the hood. And what was I going to say? Anyways, let's move on. It's the removal of the hood. Oh yeah, and it shouldn't be legal. Okay, let's make that clear. And I will also say that there is reason to believe that might actually have a reason in existence. And if you go back to the earliest forms of male circumcision, as well as thinking of the very tip of the dick, and that may have been something to do with sex and cleanliness. But at this point, it's just become an outright monstrous mutilation of the child. Male circumcision has. And again, I don't see how you can not allow pinpricking of male genital mutilation. And I would also like to say, going forward, because I forget what the last point I was going to make, but there is reason to believe female genital mutilation not have that. If you look at the amount of yeast infections in the United States, and I'm not a gynecologist, obviously, but I mean, I would imagine, you can't clean it good. Many females do have tight foreskin, tight clitoris. You don't treat that with the same amount of animosity and that we need to remove this as you would boar that have phimosis. When they don't have phimosis or anything wrong with them, you still do this. It's very bizarre, and you do it to infants. And I was circumcised as an infant, and I don't remember it. And maybe that's why I don't really care so much. But at the same time, I find it very bizarre and very odd that it's allowed so frequently or semi-frequently anyway, because what else could you do to a boy or a girl that would be allowed in this country just because they don't remember? And I'm not saying it's the same, but if you rape the kid, would that be okay just because they wouldn't remember? That sounds crazy. They know you're doing it then, and it's sure as hell not pleasant. And I just think it's wildly hypocritical, and it's a double standard, it's a cultural bias, because this is something largely done in another country from another country, and you don't understand it for that reason, but it's actually less harmful and less invasive than the thing that you do or what you actually do. It's bizarre, and it's messed up, and it shouldn't be legal. But like I said, I mean, if you really look at what it is, it's actually probably less invasive, even if you actually did cut the clitoris and not just prick it, and even if you remove some of it, or rather, if you cut it, it's still not as bad as a male circumcision. And if you actually remove some of it, that's still not going to be any worse than a male circumcision, at least. It's just odd to me that either one is legal and that you don't care about or protect children from this shit. And there's largely no real reason or excuse for doing this. And it's very bizarre to me, and I wish you would just stop. I don't understand why you do this. I don't like this, and I just wish you would be more considerate of shit. And I mean, I kind of want to keep making this video, but I don't know what else to say. Like I said, I have drinking issues. I'm trying to lay off liquor, strong liquor at least. But I mean, it's so messed up that you're doing so much of what you do. And that's it, I guess. And by the way, I mean, there are some girls in this country, and you have all kinds of female modifications of the genital, and they do that as adults. You have piercings, you do have clitoral hood clipping, snipping, you have clitoral hood piercings, you have labiaplasty, you have different female genital modifications. And male circumcision could do the same thing if somebody wants to have that done, and that would be their choice. But why would you do this to a kid without a freaking consent? Because again, it's a largely cosmetic procedure that has no more and maybe even less benefits than type 1 female circumcision. And I don't understand why one is okay and not the other. And that's that, 2666.